Right. Lily, walk with me. Lily, come. Sit. Stay. Up. Good girl.
I'm on my way to the North Yorkshire Moors, the epicentre for many strange reports of UFOs and one particular being that's become known as the UK Wildman. I've been building up a camp there for the past few weeks, and I'm hoping that this camp will allow me to investigate even deeper into the Moors and for much longer periods of time. If you're new to my channel or this is your first time here watching my videos, I can't promise you results or even evidence. But what I can promise you is a genuine approach to investigating some of these weird phenomena that so many people all around the world are experiencing. Before we dive in, please do subscribe to the channel and give this one a thumbs up.
Hello guys, welcome back to the 401 Files. It's an absolute pleasure, as I always say, to have each and every one of you back here with me. I brought Lily with me, my dog, and I'm just going to absorb this amazing, fascinating area today. So that's the plan, and talk to you guys about a few things, as I always do, regarding these weird phenomena and encounters that take place here. So it should be interesting. Everything looks so orange. Look at this place. So orange, man. So if you ever wanted to experience the Moors at its most atmospheric time of year, when it's at its most ominous and eerie, then autumn would definitely be it. Because here in the UK now, it's the beginning of autumn. All the leaves are starting to turn orange, different shades of browns and yellows. And there's plenty of twigs and sticks falling from these dead standing trees. In fact, on the way in, I was spooked a few times because large branches were just falling at my feet, and it almost, if you don't see where it falls from, feels like someone has thrown that at you. On top of that, the wind is whipping up above me, and all these trees are swaying left to right. There's a lot of leaves rushing across the forest floor. It's just an eerie time to be here on the moors, and I love that because it really gets me in that mood for talking about these different things. But it is very, very creepy during autumn or fall, like I said, for you guys in the US. But yeah, something I will note in this video right now is these voices that I keep reporting. If you go back through some of my older videos, you'll remember that when I first found this location, when I first stumbled across it, I reported that I heard what sounded like people speaking. And then obviously later on, me and Carrie came out to this very location, and we tried to do an overnight camp. And if anyone's seen that video, I will leave a link or a card right now somewhere on the screen for any of you that haven't seen that. But for any of you that have seen that camp where me and Carrie came here, we actually left through the middle of the night because we was dead certain that someone was outside the tent talking, like just a bit away from the tent, not right on top of it, but we could definitely hear a conversation taking place. And some people might say, oh, it was just the wind playing tricks, but I've been into many forests, I've spent many a nights under the stars camping out in forests on many a windy occasions. This wasn't wind, this was intelligent conversation. One person was talking, then they would pause and let the other one respond. There was two different tones for two different voices. It just wasn't wind.
What was that?
I don't know.
That was a footprint right outside the tent. Someone just stepped outside the tent.
What do you mean someone just stepped outside the tent?
Yeah, that's a footprint right outside.
I heard something, but...
And yeah, I stumbled across Paul Sinclair. Sorry, my dog's saying something. And I'm in the shelter, so I can't see behind me what she's looking at. I'm just gonna check this out 1 minute. What are you looking at, you daft dog? Creeping me out. Sorry, yeah, I heard Paul Sinclair talking about voices that he'd heard in the woods as well. So I wonder if there's something to that, because I know that Paul operates on the North Yorkshire Moors, albeit a different location. But he does operate here on the North Yorkshire Moors, and there is a vast amount of burial mounds that are being dug up here, and lots of other artifacts and relics. So it just makes you think about the history of this place and if that's got anything to do with it. But yeah, like I said, on the way in, I could have sworn I heard voices, and I almost stopped just so I could scope out the shelter, make sure that there was nobody here, because that's how confident I was that I heard voices talking. So yeah, creepy. And if I can, I'll try and get that on camera. It's going to be difficult because the wind's pretty bad today, but if I can get that on camera for you, it'd be awesome. For me as well, because I'd like to try and make sense of it. So the plan for now is to get the firewall brought further into camp or closer to the shelter, so when I'm sat down the fire isn't too far away, and upgrade the wall, because all this wood here was just rotting away, and I want a decent sturdy reflector for my fire. So that's the plan for now. I'm going to go get them pieces of wood cut, then I'm going to sit down and chat to you guys about some of these things that are racing around in my mind and sending me crazy, because it's always nice to get feedback from like-minded people. You can't just go off into the street and start talking about aliens and Bigfoot or anything like that to these everyday people out on the street, because they just think you're crazy. So it's nice for me to have this platform where I can sit down and share some of these thoughts that I've been thinking about without being ridiculed, and also hearing some feedback from you guys as well, because a lot of the times you guys come back with things that blow my mind. So yeah, first things first, get the wall done, bring the fire closer to the shelter, and then I'll chill out, get some food on and speak to you guys. So as you can see guys, there is the little firewall, and I've brought that much closer into the shelter now, so if it does start raining I don't have to stand up and walk out from underneath the shelter to get warm. So that's a massive job out of the way. I know it's only a little wall, but that's going to make all the difference. So all that's left now guys is to get some food on, get a drink and sit back, chat to you guys, because I have been thinking about a few weird things recently, things that are quite thought-provoking and make me question a lot of things. So it's going to be interesting to see what you guys think and hear your replies as well. So thank you for being here with me. As always, I really do appreciate getting out to these areas and chatting with like-minded people like yourself. So wherever you are in the world guys, I hope you all know that I do appreciate it. You know, there's a lot of debate as to whether one of these fire reflectors actually makes a difference in terms of heat. But for me, that argument aside, because I'm not sure whether it does or it doesn't, but it makes hell of a difference for morale. When you see a fire just laid on the floor, getting all its heat stripped away from it, from the surrounding environment, it's not very homely, it's not very comforting. But if you see the fire nestled in front of this wall here,
that is a huge morale boost, and it makes it seem a bit more cozy, a bit more warm just by looking at it. So yeah, I'm not sure whether it does make a huge difference in terms of heat and how much heat's coming back at you, but just the visual aspect of it and the morale that it gives you, for me, is worth the work. As I'm sitting here looking out into the woods and thinking about the ancient landscape that surrounds me 360 degrees, it's hard not to feel insignificant in some strange way. People from all walks of life have settled here on the moors at some stage or another. Thousands of years ago, before I was even dreamed of, settlers called this cold and barren landscape their home. Conflicts were fought and blood was shed in this very location. In fact, there have been over 200 burial mounds unearthed right here on the moors, with countless more still yet to be discovered. I often imagine that if so many walks of life found this place to be of interest, would it really be too much of a stretch then to imagine that beings from another dimension or even another planet may also find the moors a fascinating and mysterious place, and one of very high interest? So I'm just waiting for my sausage and beans to finish cooking, then I'm going to get some food because I've been here all day pretty much. It's getting cold now and I've not had nothing warm to eat. So a few of you guys have asked me about the documentary and how that's coming along, and the news of that is very well. Like the documentary is going great. There was a few weeks where I sat on it and didn't touch the documentary at all. I didn't do anything to it, simply because I didn't know which direction it was going or what scene I wanted to come up next. And how that would lead me into the next part, etc. But it's difficult because a documentary, if you can imagine like a 1,000-piece jigsaw, but all the pieces can fit in multiple areas. That's what it's like dealing with a documentary, because the pieces are the equivalent of my video clips, and it's rearranging them to make the picture or the jigsaw puzzle. But like I said, you can put the pieces in multiple places. They fit in multiple areas of the picture, so it's difficult. It's coming together though, which is the main thing. It really is coming together. But every now and then you go back and you think, actually this would look better there, or take that out and maybe not use that and instead use this. So yeah, it's a learning curve, and it's definitely character building, but I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying the process. Lily's looking at me as if to say, give me some of that. She's already had like 2 cans though today, so that's plenty enough for her. Oh, I'm hot, as my dad would say. So would you be if you just got off fire? Parents always say that no matter what. Like, that's really, really hot. So would you be if you just come off oven? So would you be if you just come out of microwave? Or maybe they don't. Maybe that was just my parents. Lily's sulking now because she can't get over here. I've tied her to the lead. She went disappearing again for about 30 minutes. It's too much. Way too much. Like, especially if I'm trying to get off. Like, so say I'm trying to leave to go back to the car, and I've got to waste another 40 minutes, 30 minutes trying to shout for Lily back. It's not good, so I've put her on the lead now. She's having a bit of a sulk, but I'm sure she'll be fine. There's not a lot of light left now, which is usually the case for this time of year. It just makes filming that much more difficult though, because you constantly feel rushed to get everything said or everything filmed that you need to make a video. Because once it gets dark, it's just extremely grainy, like the footage is not the best, but that can't be helped. You can only do your best with what you've got, and so unfortunately I can't change the seasons. These darker nights do come in more and more early now, so yeah. I'm not going to give up on my cup of coffee. I've been trying to get this water boiled now for quite some time because, stupidly, this jet boil, which is what I've been using recently and is brilliant, has run out of gas, and that's my fault, nothing to do with the jet boil. Schoolboy error on my half. I should have checked before I came out, but luckily I keep some pans here now at camp, and if I ever do fall short for a way to boil water, I can always use one of these. It just takes time. But yeah, I'm not leaving till I have a coffee, so So I'm a happy man. Finally had some warm food. I've now got coffee. The fire's going, it's lovely and warm. And the smoke's died down as well because all those wet sticks have finally now evaporated any kind of moisture that was in there. About 5 or 10 minutes ago I thought I heard someone walking up to the shelter, which is kind of unnerving considering that I can't see what's coming from left or right of me. My first go-to is always to check the dog though, like see if Lily's sat upright, see if she's heard anything, and she didn't seem too bothered. But it clearly sounded like someone walking up to the shelter. In fact, I thought at any minute now someone's going to poke their head around the corner and tell me off for being here. But when I got up and had a look, there was no one there, so I'm not sure what to make of that. Likely nothing. I've given Lily my coat as well, my duck down coat, so wherever she'd been for that 30 minutes, she came back absolutely soaked. And like I said, the temperature has dropped now. The last thing you want to be doing is out in environments like this when you're wet. So she's got my coat, she's snuggled right into it, and hopefully she can start drying out. I was thinking back earlier to the story of the guy that was coming home late one night and decided to take a shortcut through the moors. He was driving home from a girlfriend's house or something like that, and he said that through his rearview mirror he could see like a strange light tailgating his car. So he observed it for a little while, not sure of what this light was, maybe thinking it was a helicopter off in the distance or something like that, but it seemed to be mimicking his movements. And these roads that cut through the moors are quite twisty. They bend a lot, and quite bendy roads. So whenever he'd go around a corner, he'd expect that would be it, like the light should go now because I've turned a corner. But no, sure enough, the light was still there, following his car. He said that he saw the light shoot off a bit in front of him and hover over a forested area for a while. Started weaving through the trees and all sorts of things like that. So according to this guy, other people must have seen it as well. He said that there was other people on the road at the time. I can't remember if he said just a bit in front of him or just a bit behind him, but he said that he wasn't the only one on that road that night. So other people must have seen it as well, which is usually the case, isn't it? It's like we hear about these stories like Pascagoula, and we thought that the two guys stood on the riverbank there were the only two to be abducted and have the experience, but years later we've now learned that so many more people experienced strange things that night.
I just wonder why so many more people then don't come forward. And I was going to say, and let the others suffer, like the ridicule, but maybe that isn't why they come forward. Maybe they do see the ridicule that these people get and think, I don't want any part of that, I'm going to keep my mouth shut. Who knows? It's just a beautiful place to be. I'm going to tilt this camera back a bit for you guys so you can have a look outside. Let's extend this camera. I won't be 1 second. Just going to lift this up so you guys can look over the fire as well, out into the woods. That looks quite nice. Yeah, it is, the Moors. It's a fascinating place. Somewhere that I never get bored of coming and exploring, ever. And through each different season as well, I think the Moors feels different. Especially if there's snow on the ground. Like when me and Junior was here last year, there was snow on the ground. And this place just turned into a complete winter wonderland. And again, autumn, like I've mentioned, with all the orange and yellow leaves, makes this place feel really creepy. Maybe because we associate that with Halloween as well, and Halloween, the thought of Halloween conjures up so many different monsters and weird things. But it's a great experience. I know there's a lot of people out there that watch my channel, that'll be watching this now in fact, who wish they could come do something similar. So I do feel very privileged that this is on my doorstep, and I'm still fit and healthy enough to get out and experience these times. But on top of that as well, I'm also grateful that I can bring you guys along with me. And it'd be sad if I could come do this but have no one to share it with. That'd be the worst. I think tomorrow, or whenever I come back, maybe next week now, what I need to do is move this firewall back just a touch, because the smoke keeps coming inside the shelter. Oh, God. And me sat underneath this is not great, so yeah, I'm going to have to move that back and rethink. You know, I just thought when I started making these videos of thought-provoking topics and other strange things that people would probably laugh at me and think I'm crazy. And for a long time, it probably was that way. Like when I first started and I had no subscribers, there was no views coming in on these videos. A lot of people did do that. A lot of people ridiculed me and thought like, haha, on you, Ben, for talking about such nonsense. But over time, those people have become the minority, and now I'm just storming ahead towards 10k. I mean, I never thought in a million years that would be possible, talking about extraterrestrials and Bigfoot, things like that. But it just shows that there is more people out there than me who have the same interest, or more of an interest, on these subjects. It's fascinating. And I think we've got to be stupid. Like those people that did ridicule me in the start, I wonder what they think now. I wonder if they look back and think, like, shit, he actually made it work, and wow, there are more people than they first imagined who believe this stuff as well, along with Ben. Like, I wonder if they ever think that. Real people in real life have had their lives changed forever. There's no doubt in my mind that there will have been lawyers, doctors, teachers, even scientists maybe, that were straight shooters, never believed anything that was fringe, and they've had an experience one day with something like an extraterrestrial, a UFO, or even a Bigfoot, and that has altered the course of their life forever. There's no doubt in my mind that that's happened to someone out there, or many people out there. And that fascinates me. That fascinates me more than the subjects themselves. Because when you have an experience like that with Bigfoot, you see a Bigfoot off in the forest, or you see an extraterrestrial come down from a craft and you become an abductee, we can't imagine what that must do, like, to your psyche as a person, because we've never had that experience and we can't relate. All we can try and do is understand to the best of our ability, but those people have to go on with their lives. They have to turn up to work the next morning,
They have to act normal, and in some cases choose not to talk about these things, even though it had such an impact on their life, because they'll just get ridiculed. I wonder how many people then have taken their own lives, disappeared, become the grey man, all because of an encounter that they had and never dared speak about. I bet there will be people out there that hold some really interesting stories and secrets close to their heart, and probably struggle with certain things like waking up through the night, having nightmares, not being able to go back in the forest, not being able to watch scary movies, all because of these encounters that nobody knows about that they had. That interests me, because right now someone watching this video might even be one of these people. Yeah, and what a weird thing to think that that's real life. That's happening to real people. These are real struggles because of real events that happened to them. So when people who try and scoff at these topics like Bigfoot, extraterrestrials and things like that, when they try to laugh or make fun of these subjects, go speak to some of these people, because they're not all tinfoil hat wearing idiots. Some of these people are doctors, some of these people are teachers, like I've said, lawyers, etc. And are probably more switched on than you are. Probably thought that their life was heading in the direction that most would think to be perfect. A big house, kids, a nice car, and then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, they go hunting for the day, they have an experience with Bigfoot, and just like that, everything has taken a U-turn. They can no longer go back in the forest. They can no longer act normal in front of their friends. And yeah, these things will happen, guys. There are people out there like that that have these experiences and have their lives changed forever. Even me, like, I know what I saw that day that put me on my course, put me on my track for answers. And that must have affected me in some way, whether I know it or not. Like, I don't wake up every single day thinking about it. It's not something that stopped me from going back in the woods, but it must have affected me subconsciously in some way, because why am I here now? Why am I talking to this camera about these things if that one day never impacted me? It's left a huge impact on my life. Like I said, not to the point where I'm waking up through the night with it, not to the point where I dare venture out anymore and do these things that I love, like getting into nature, but it must have played a part, because here I am, 26 years later, 27 years later, still talking about it. I can't even imagine what those people who have been abducted, like Travis Walton, Betty and Barney Hill, Alan Godfrey, all these different people have been abducted. I can't imagine how that plays a part in their life. Like, how do you deal with that? How do you come back from that and carry on with normal everyday life? How do you go to work and bust your balls for pennies, nothing, when you know there's something greater than life, greater than cars, greater than a big house out there flying around in our airspace? How do you talk to your kids and read their school books that they get sent home about Jesus, the dinosaurs, and other things that kids are led and brought up to believe? How do you talk to them about these things when you've had an experience aboard a craft? I mean, I don't have that. I don't have to deal with that. It's never happened to me, but people out there have. Like Travis Walton. I mean, depression can sometimes be a horrible thing. It makes you question the reason behind everything. Like, what's the point? If you're depressed, which I have been many times, you don't see the point in anything. And when I say anything, I mean anything. Like, you don't see the point in brushing your teeth, waking up on the morning, getting dressed, even eating. Like, you just don't see the point in anything when you're depressed. So what happens when you've got privy inside information to a higher being, a higher intelligence, a more sophisticated, technologically advanced civilization, and here we are struggling from paycheck to paycheck? How do you get over that? How do you manage to stay mentally sane with that information? These are things that think too many people don't think about. Like, we just take that for granted. Oh yeah, he got abducted, that was his story, and that's cool, let's all talk about it. But none of us ever see what happens to Travis when he goes home on the night. None of us know in them first few months when he came back what life was really like. And sure, it's a cool story, we all like sharing it and passing it around, but as a person, what was Travis like before and what was he like after? And not just Travis, like I said, there'll be thousands of people out there suffering in silence that we don't even know about. You imagine how many great stories are out there that people just have never spoken about because of ridicule, or they just can't make sense of it within themselves, so they never talk about it. There'll probably be better cases than Travis Walton and Rendlesham and Roswell. There'll be so many cases out there, guys, that have just been brushed under the carpet, and that we'll never get to hear about. I believe that, I really do. You can hear the wind picking up now. Very, very creepy. I sometimes, and I know I've mentioned this on my previous videos, but I do sometimes question, like, what the hell am I doing? I think that's normal to question yourself like that. Because when you're sat in the middle of the North Yorkshire Moors, a place that's been visited by every walk of life, the Vikings, Romans, the list is endless. There are hundreds of different burial mounds that have been dug up and unearthed here on the moors. Tons of different artifacts and relics have been found. So you can only imagine the history this place holds. And then on top of that, we had crazy sightings of UFOs and people reporting seeing these weird wild men creatures. You have to question yourself. I don't know anyone that would come here and not say or ask themselves, what the hell am I doing? I do it quite a lot. And I don't have the answer to that. Like, why would I want to put myself in a location like that? I think it's intrigue, like it's the fascination of this place. I can honestly say right now that I'm sat here under this shelter, the little fire off in front of me, just me and my dog, and I can honestly say that there will be no one around me for miles. How many places in the UK can you say that? But again, it's the history that draws me to this place. Oh, it's freezing cold. The temperature has noticeably dropped in the last half an hour, so I'm going to start packing away. I've got a few things that I want to take back to the car, like rubbish and stuff, and maybe steal my coat back off Lily because it is freezing. Although that coat's probably wet now because she was when I threw it on her, so that's no good. But anyway, this camp, it's starting to take shape, and I'm super excited about coming back here all the time to talk to you guys and venture off deeper and deeper into the moors. But now I've got this hub, this little camp base, I can start leaving kit here and come out and do overnight camps on multiple days, like 2 or 3 days out here as well. So I'm super excited about that. Until next time though, guys, take it easy. Stay safe, please, as well. If you have enjoyed this video, you know what to do, guys. Show your support by giving this one a thumbs up. Drop down in the comments box below. Leave as many comments as you want. Just completely flood that box for all I care. You guys have been awesome. Take it easy, stay safe, look after yourselves, wherever you are in the world. And if you are in a position to do so, guys, then please do look after somebody else as well. Until next time, stay safe.